Feral Audio.
This is a show about individual experience and personal identity. There may be times when folks use identifying words or phrases that don't feel right to you. That's part of what we're exploring here. Please listen with an open heart, and as always, I welcome your polite, engaged feedback, and I encourage you to continue the conversation in your life and with your community. Welcome to Queery. Hey Queeros, Cameron here. I am recording this on Friday, December 8th because I want you to hear my excited voice. Because Rhea and my duo album, our first album as a duo, we've had separate solo albums. I've had 3 dang stand-up albums as a solo artist, and this is my first one as a duo. Number 1 today on iTunes. So excited about that. Please, if you haven't had a chance yet to pick up back-to-back the live album, it's $10. It helps us out. It helps us to show that there is a market for what we do, and we get some moolah to do it, which we really appreciate. Also, you can get merch like tees and buttons through my website, CameronEsposito.com. Enough promotion. Thank you very much for your support. On to today's episode of the show. Today I have Eva Sweeney. Eva is an activist, an educator, a consultant, a television consultant, and also has cerebral palsy, and spoke to me with the assistance of her aide. I think you are going to love this episode. I loved sitting down with Eva, so let's not even wait another second. Enjoy the show. Hello, Queeros. Boy, am I so just jazzed about what's going on right now in this studio. I have a new pal to talk to, and so I would love to start, like we start every episode, with you introducing yourself.
All right. Hi, I'm Eva. I'm a 34-year-old. I identify as a genderqueer female who is also queer. I'm butch. My pronouns are she, her. I also have a physical disability called cerebral palsy, which for me means I use a wheelchair to get around. Since I'm nonverbal, I spell out things that I want to say on a letterboard with a laser pointer attached to a hat. For the podcast, you'll be hearing my aide read off pre-written answers. For follow-up questions, I'll spell out on my board. I'm a sex and disability advocate. I travel all around the country giving workshops on these topics. I'm also a consultant on ABC's Speechless. It is a show about a family who has a 16-year-old teenager with CP. They totally use my communication system, one that I created for the show. And after the creator saw what a good relationship I have with my aides, he created an aide character for the show. So Cedric Yarborough has me to thank for his job. He has said this before.
Wow, you have achieved so much. I mean, that's awesome. Talk to me about the specificity of the way that you communicate that they used for Speechless. I actually haven't seen the show.
Oh.
What is it that you helped them?
I use a laser pointer and a hat and a letterboard, which most and nonverbal people don't use. Most people use like more high-tech stuff. Yeah, like, like Stephen Hawking. Yeah.
Right. Like a head switch or like a Dynavox that's more computerized.
Exactly.
Well, good job breaking into Hollywood.
Yeah, he actually uses the exact same board.
I mean, I know what the show is. I just haven't seen it yet. So, wow. Yeah. I mean, that growing up, did you ever see a character that looked like you on TV?
No.
So this
is not at all. Yeah.
And then to be able to, how did the producers become aware of you?
One of my friends who works at CSUN, T.O. told the creator, Scott Silvery, he should talk to me.
And I can tell, I can just tell already that you're very charming. And so
Thanks.
Because our recording was delayed, and so we had to like chat about Halloween and other random topics. So I could see how somebody would want to figure out how you specifically communicate and try to use that in the world. Oh, you're welcome. I don't mind throwing around compliments when they are deserved. So just to keep going on, and just for listeners, so one thing that I wasn't sure how this particular recording would go because I haven't done this yet with a nonverbal person, and so I sent Eva some questions in advance, which is what I thought might make it a little bit easier. But then also we're gonna follow up with questions, and Eva's using her letterboard right now to communicate. So that's what's happening here, and I think you would have been able to figure that out anyway, but I just want to explain fully. And then that is Cameron's voice that you hear. I don't have to. Yeah, I don't have to say your name. Is it?
It's fine. I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Or I could just say, and that's Eva's AIDS voice that you hear.
Well, I don't mind having two Camerons on the show.
There are two Camerons on the show.
I think it's kind of interesting.
I know. Yeah, and actually, let me also ask this question: Eva? How long has Cameron been in your employ?
About one year. I look for people who have a good PE personality. I have N.E. never H.I. hired a aide who with experience. Well, I had a little experience before you, like.
No,
but yeah, like it's not necessarily the priority in the hiring process. It's more like the chemistry.
I actually used to do this job. I don't know if you know that about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't work on a one-to-one relationship, so I wasn't like an at-home aide, but I worked in classrooms as a classroom aide for folks with cerebral palsy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they were actually teenagers, so it would also, it's different because you're like a fully grown adult. So that's also why I was working with them just in the day, because I just worked at their school. But it was a great,
cool.
Yeah, it was a great job. I really loved that job, actually. I thought that's kind of what I was going to do. I went to social work school because I thought that I was going to be a therapist that worked with folks with physical special needs.
What M.A. made you B.I.N. interested in that field of work?
You know, I just started getting jobs in that area, and then I loved the students that I worked with.
Cool.
Yeah, I just thought that they were really, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the otherness in me understood the otherness in somebody else, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, we can hang. Yeah. But, okay, let's talk more about you. This is not about me. It's kind of about both of us, actually. So how did others see you when you were a kid?
Okay. Well, I was super lucky because my mom fought for me to be mainstream from kindergarten. So I was always around typical kids. I taught myself to read at 2 years old. Yes, my mom thought she was going crazy because when I was diagnosed with CP, the doctor told my parents not to expect much. So my parents knew early on I was super smart. During my elementary years, my mom would come to school at the beginning of the year and sit down with all the kids and explain them what CP is and how I communicate. That really helped the kids see me and not only my disability. During elementary school, I went to an amazing school called Sequoia, where there were no desks or homework, and we went camping 3 times a year. It was all project-based. So I think that school really helped. Side note, of my class of 25, 5 kids came out as queer. There was something in the water.
Yeah, I guess so. That's all pretty awesome. And when you say mainstreamed, like, you mean you didn't go to a school
Like,
for folks that has special needs? You went
exactly.
to like a typical public school?
Yes.
Or I guess maybe that Sequoia doesn't sound like a public school or a typical school.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yes. I want to keep going on some of these other questions because wait, so but when you were a kid, so were you sensing or were other people sensing anything going on with you gender or sexuality wise that would also have been atypical?
IK knew I was queer at 1:12
Oh.
when STAR started CHE checking out girls. So cute.
And you knew what that meant?
Yeah.
Because I didn't. Like, I mean, I don't know. I was interested in girls. I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't realize till I was like really 19 or 20. I can't imagine what that would be like to know when you were 12. Did you tell other people?
No.
No, just experiencing it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about your haircut. Because we have had like a couple, because you emailed me a while ago to ask about stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And when you emailed me, I watched some videos that you had. I can't remember if you like linked them or if I just looked you up. And I saw that you have like almost like a pixie haircut. You have super short hair.
Yeah.
Or like whatever feels gender appropriate, but just it's real short. And I want to ask you, because I just recently cut my hair short. And
Looks great.
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I want to ask you about your hair and like your presentation kind of in general.
When I was 9, I begged my mom to let me cut my hair short. She was reluctant, but let me do it. It has been short ever since. She hated it then, and she still does. I am constantly viewed as an 8-year-old boy by the public. I don't mind the misgendering part, but the age part annoys me. Like, people talk to my aide instead of me, or pat my head or whatever, and my aides are awesome and know how to gently tell them I'm 34 years old. You know, people still do really inappropriate stuff. People still do some pretty inappropriate stuff. There's a story. There's a pretty... do you want to hear something that happened recently?
Are you okay with
She's okay.
Cameron telling it? Okay, awesome. Yes, I do want to hear it.
It's pretty wild. Okay, so recently... now I'm off script, so I'm like, what person do I say this in? Recently, Eva went to Trader Joe's, and like, you were training a new aide, and usually when there's like an errand that needs to be done that can be done in less than 10 minutes, Eva wants to stay in the car. She's like, go handle it, be right back, whatever. And we roll down the windows and stuff, and it's like, not a big deal, but in the 10 minutes that her aide and training aide were gone, some lady came up to the window. It was one of those fucking, wait, no, sorry. One of those 105 days when we were in that heat wave
like
here
last
in LA.
week or whenever that
was. It
was
was like the end of August.
Okay.
So it was like very intense heat wave. And so this lady comes up to the window that's cracked and is like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" Like, and Eva's like, "Yes," like nodding her head, "Yes, I'm okay. Everything's fine. Leave me alone. Pay attention to my yes." Like, but She did not, and she called the police. And, like, her aides had barely been gone, and they come back, and the police are there, and, like, an ambulance, and, like, Eva keeps spelling, "I'm okay. I'm totally okay. Hey, everyone, I'm okay. Like, everything is fine here. I'm okay." And they, oh my God, what did they do? They, like, took you into the ER for, because they needed to check your heart rate, which was obviously high because there's a lot of police around. And they went, oh my God, it's just so ridiculous.
Wow, I am super sorry.
It gets more intense. They, ultimately arrested my aides.
What?
Yes, for elderly abuse.
Oh.
Which I think later became disabled and animal abuse when they realized you're not, because she's a service dog, and they realized you're not an elderly woman. Yes. Everything now has been cleared, and like, but it just it just shows how much the general public does not know about disabled people.
And you want to stay in the car because it's like,
I mean, it's like
an ordeal to get out of the car.
Exactly.
And did you have your letterboard out and your hat on?
No, but you're very good at saying yes and no. Like, so it was just one of those things where this lady was not able to notice or pay attention or recognize, like.
Oh man, I mean, it's also like we're taught. I mean, we're not really taught what to do when it's you in the car, right?
Exactly.
Because we're taught, like, actually, like, she's kind of following this script that we are taught, which is like, if you see somebody in a hot car, like, you're supposed to intervene and, you know, all this stuff. And so I
think it gets more intense when the police were, like, not listening. And
that's huge. And arresting people. I mean, like, I can't even imagine.
She got left at the hospital. She got left at the hospital
by herself
without any aids. Like, somebody had to find this tag right here on her freaking.
Oh my God!
To call her parents. Like, this is what the police did. They were like, "Will you step out? We need to ask you a few questions." They did not ask them any questions. They just arrested them. They just arrested the aides and left Eva there. What? Dude, it's so crazy. Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. How long were you at the hospital?
5 hours.
Eva. Wow.
No, right?
Wow. You must have been scared. Were you scared?
My parents, showed up. Right when they got arrested.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you... I don't even know what I'm glad. I'm glad you weren't alone for 5 hours at the hospital. Please tell me you weren't.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Totally.
Whew. But that's... Well, the other thing that I just feel like, because people are listening to this and I'm actually looking at you, you're a small person. You've got a smaller bod on the bod spectrum. So when we talk about like kind of queerness in general and like haircuts and how often misgendering happens, and like for my wife Rhea, people think that she's a like 13-year-old boy constantly.
Yeah.
But she's also working with like a slightly bigger bod than you have.
Yeah.
So there's just like the added complexity of, I think, this thing that queerness does where like kind of in general queer people don't aren't always assumed to be full adults. But
Exactly.
then your size compounding that.
N-O-B-O. Nobody. E-X-P-E. Expects. Me. Expects. I am a 34-year-old woman. Or queer. Yeah. Queer woman.
What is that like, walking through the world and people are driving through the world, driving through the world, and people don't see who you are?
I just L-A laugh. And when P-E-O people are G-E-N-U-I genuinely interested, I-E-D educate them.
Hey, that sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah.
Laugh, and when people are genuinely interested, educate them.
There you go.
Can I just take that as like that's what I need to be doing all the time about all things. You're exactly right. It's a really good answer to all questions. So I want to ask a little bit more just about like clothes and other ways that you are present. So what clothes feel comfortable to you?
I would like to dress more masculine than I do, but because I currently live at home and because my mom helps me get dressed, I wear more androgynous clothes. I would love to wear button-ups. When I was in my early 20s, I was a part of a drag king troupe called the Deadbeat Daddies. My drag name was Tyler Cripps, who was a sleazy insurance agent who always had his dick out.
What?
That was definitely fun.
That is a really sleazy insurance agent. Honestly, I feel like that person should probably lose their license. If they don't put their genitals back in their pants. Yeah, I can imagine that. What's the barrier to getting button-ups for your mom?
She A-C-C-U-S accuses me of being trans? Really? When I say I want to wear button-up? Yes, what? That's so ridiculous.
Wow.
I have to P-I-C pick my B-A, my battles.
Yeah. I'm sure that you do have to pick your battles. Maybe if you want to go home with some photos of me wearing button-ups. If you need some
good examples.
If you need some backup. And I mean also like obviously it'd be fine if you were, but I don't think there has been any scientifically proved link between being a trans person and button-ups.
Exactly.
I don't think that link has yet to be found by the scientific community. Eva, who is your first crush?
Melissa Joan Hart from Clarissa Explains It All.
What?
This is hilarious to me now because she's so not my type. I usually go for more butch people.
Sure.
Happens.
Did you ever have a teenage witch phase, or was it just Clarissa?
Just Clarissa.
Ooh. All right. So
Explains it all.
Yeah, I mean, it really does literally explain it all. And that's a good segue into just talking about dating in general. Okay. Because well, actually, let me ask this question first. Does an aide go with you if you go on a date?
Well, I first, oh wait. I use online dating and always include my disability in the bio. It definitely weeds out people, but the ones who do not reply are open to it, even if they should. Should I do the whole thing? Yes. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I should skip to the part where I talk about the aid coming.
Oh no, it's okay. Well, what's the? Yeah, why don't you just start and tell me what
the
Eva? Yeah, tell
wrote
me
down.
what-
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry. All right. Well, first I use. I'm just gonna restart. Okay. Well, first I use online dating and always include my disability in the bio. It definitely weeds out people, but the ones who do reply are open to it, even if they have questions. I don't go into super detail, but I just say I have CP and what that is to me. On first dates, I always bring an aid because I want my date to get to know me rather than helping me with stuff like eating and drinking. I always have super cool aides, so it does not feel like taking a parent or a babysitter with me on a date. As me and my new boo date, they can learn how to help me if they are down. But I'm really cautious as I know too many people who rely on their spouses for personal care, and that, in my opinion, can ruin a relationship. I want my relationships to be about our relationship, not about my personal care. Even now, with my current partner, we are talking about a weekend away, just us. I'm nervous about them having to help me. They know how to do it, but I don't like them to do it very often. When we first started dating, well, really just hooking up, one time after we hooked up, I really had to pee, but we hadn't discussed whether or not they were comfortable with it. And I texted them later and asked and said, it's totally okay if you're not. It was way too long of a text. And they said, nothing phases me. Teach me how. Swoon.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So is this somebody you met through online dating?
Tinder.
Yeah. Awesome. How long have you guys been together? If you don't mind my asking.
1.5 years, right? Yes.
Rad.
Mm-hmm. They're really cool.
And this is the first time that you guys would be together alone, or have you done this before? This weekend away?
Oh, here. One funny story. The first time my partner and I went on our first date without an aide, we went to Santa Barbara. We were at some gift shop.
Just so that anybody that is listening that doesn't know the geography of California, that's legitimately far. You went very far.
Yeah, so we went to Santa Barbara and we were at some gift shop and we were joking about how much a plush oyster looks like a vagina. And some guy bought it for us, and he just thought this kid, me, really liked this oyster. Also, when we were eating dinner, the restaurant comped our bill because my partner is so good with me. They had no idea that they were my partner. But we had lobster, so these stories are really hilarious, but they do show how people don't think people with disabilities as being sexual or wanting to date.
Right, so you think that person just assumed this is like a family member or an aide?
Yeah, exactly.
And does that happen all the time?
Oh, yes.
What do you do? Do you correct people?
My PAR partner does.
Is your partner... Did your partner drive you guys?
Yeah, they're able-bodied. Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out which other questions I want to ask. Did they have experience with like anybody who's been in a chair or uses a different communication system?
Yes. They had a kid. Oh yeah, there was a kid in like their elementary school. So they saw their board. They're like, oh yeah, I know how to use this board, this old thing. Like, and that was in like kindergarten, right? That they were introduced to that. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's actually rad.
Yeah.
Like just to experience it that young.
Exactly.
To like meet and know a person that uses a different communication system.
Yeah.
I really didn't know anybody till I started working with folks.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, I mean, like my first day at this school, everybody started talking to me about their dating life. And I mean, that was me being an asshole. I came in just like thinking, I just didn't think like, because this was at a school, that particular job was at a school for all students with physical special needs. So I just didn't think like that the first day I would be in like a Degrassi situation where like everybody was talking about like all of their all of their exes. I'm an ass, you know? I just didn't have experience with it. So I didn't know. And then it literally was within an hour that I was like, oh, these are human children, like these are teenagers with like hormones and zits and
exactly
like boners and stuff and like whatever's happening.
They got
So it's
the
just
whole
like
package.
regular experience. Yes. So it sounds like it's comfortable with your partner now.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment of awkwardness or trying to figure out?
No.
That's very romantic.
Oh, yes. So cute.
I don't want to like pry into your romantic life, but is there anything else that you want to tell me about dating in this particular section?
Want to do this little well, there's the you want to do this paragraph? Okay. My board takes oh wait. Well, this is like the answer to your next question, like talk me through meeting women when you have a special way of communicating stuff.
Great.
So I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
My board takes literally 2 minutes to learn, so on first dates, my aides explain how to read my board. Generally, my aide facilitates communication on first dates just because it's easier. But when I explained to my current partner I use a letter board, they were like, I don't know how to use one. One of the kids in my elementary school used one. And I was like, OMG. My partner actually can hear my thoughts, but that had never happened before to either of us. So it generally happens when we're cuddling in bed. They see pictures of what I'm thinking. They will say out loud what they see so I can tell them if that's what I'm thinking. If I'm thinking of things that are more abstract, it doesn't always translate as well. So strong ideas and imagery is what they usually get. But I cannot hide stuff from them. There have been times where they're like, are you thinking about bling bling? And I'm like, oh shit, yes. Like
So you are dating a magical sorcerer.
yes.
I mean, I think some of what you're talking about is, I know I've found that in relationships where I'm really close with folks that it isn't all verbal communication, right?
Exactly.
We're all sharing molecules and space and time. And
yeah.
I mean, trust me, I can get super crystals and out there and all that stuff if you want me to. But I have had that experience myself.
Cool.
I think that mind meld is, I mean, it's real because we didn't come from strictly verbal organisms, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really happy for you. That sounds like a awesome relationship.
Yeah.
You see, you
like,
also
seriously,
are
they are so
smiling
cute.
your actual face off.
Yeah.
Today's show is sponsored by Talkspace, the online therapy company that lets you message a licensed therapist from anywhere at any time. I'm a big advocate for therapy. I think it's important to take care of ourselves mentally and stay healthy. You would know that if you listen to the show, which you already did. So let's say you're a listener and you can't imagine fitting a therapy appointment into your life. Well, that's what Talkspace is for. It's as easy as sending your therapist a message. You don't have to commute to an office. You don't have to wait for your appointment. You can match with a perfect therapist for you at the fraction of the cost of traditional therapy. So just go to Talkspace.com/query, use the code query to get $30 off your first month and show your support for our show. That's the code QUEERY and Talkspace.com/query. Hey, Queery listeners, guess what? This is a local ad just for Angelinos. That's right. If you live in Los Angeles, you should be going to see Something Rotten at the Center Theater Group. With 10 Tony nominations, including Best Musical, the New York Post says Something Rotten is a big, fat hit. That's a big hit. This hilarious new show tells the story of two brothers who are desperate to write their own play while the rock star Shakespeare keeps getting all the hits. When a local soothsayer foretells that the future of theater involves singing, dancing, and acting at the same time, the brothers set out to write the world's first musical. With its heart on its ruffled sleeve and sequins in its soul, New York Magazine says Something Rotten is the producers plus Spamalot plus the Book of Mormon squared. Oh my God, that's a lot of musicals. It begins November 21st. Tickets at amundsentheater.org. I wanted to ask about your voice because I'm realizing, like for me, my actual speaking voice really connects to my gender because I've always heard it the same way in my head.
Yeah.
And then for you, who has different aides that have different voices, and those people are speaking with your words. I wanted to ask if that, like, how that feels for you gender-wise. Like, do you feel it actually adequately conveys your gender? And I don't know, what's that experience like, having different people speak for you?
I think because I choose aides not for experience, but for chemistry, as soon as they get to know me, they can definitely convey my personality well. I've had aides of all genders, and all of them do a good job. I think because my communication system really lets my personality shine, it helps my aides as well. I've tried one of those high-tech devices, like the one Stephen Hawking has. I mastered it, but ultimately went back to the board. With the device, people had to sit and wait for like 5 minutes for my response. With my board, because you have to read what I'm spelling, you're engaged the whole time. Also, since I always have aides, they can facilitate my communication.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you have something that works for you so well. And you are, I didn't know what to expect, but this is a really fast way of communicating. It is like a very conversational, I don't know, flow. Feels
definitely.
like, I'm taking more time pausing and choosing my words than you are.
Well, just how we've got some good ones, but yeah, she zips through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, you were also talking about, so you have aides with you what portion of the day?
Like 15 hours a day.
And then you sleep the other time?
Yes.
Rad. And your folks that you live with your folks, you said?
Yes.
And do your folks read your board directly, or is your aide reading your board and communicating with your parents?
My parents only use iSpelling, which is like, iSpelling is like, we do it too if the board's not around. Basically, it's like if you look down, we'll run through the alphabet A through K, and then if you look up, we run through L through M, and when we hit the letter that you want to spell, you'll nod. And so we'll just go through it like that, basically run through the alphabet. And that's what your parents prefer.
Wow. Do you like that?
No.
Oh my gosh. So you mean having
much slower.
Having parents is like always the same?
Yeah.
They're like amazing and you love them and they're annoying?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like we're doing pretty great in following up on stuff, but I want to make sure I get through all the questions that I asked you. So let me just pull something up real quick. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is, I think, maybe where like the biggest part of talking just about identity. So I want to talk about like your intimacy with the queer community at large. Because since the queer community is, well, it's so many things. I mean, partially it's on the internet, and partially it's like, you know, in our hearts or whatever. But then it also has like, specific gathering places and ways of interacting. And I just didn't know how connected you feel to other queer folks.
The queer community has generally been mostly accepting, but they don't know much about disability. In 2004, I created an organization called Queers on Wheels. I wrote a book which includes stuff like how to navigate dating when you need help, adapting sex toys, how to talk to your partner about your disability, and how to masturbate if you need assistance. Through the book, I was asked to give workshops all over the U.S. about these topics. It was quite powerful, as many times I had middle-aged people with disabilities coming up saying they had never talked about sex before. That feeling makes me continue to work in this field because I know it's so needed. I even had a Christian rights protest my workshop, so I definitely feel like I am making an impact.
That's huge.
Yeah, no more. Oh, wait. Now, more queer people with disabilities are speaking up. Shout out to the fabulous Andrew Gurza. So that's really awesome to see.
How did you and Andrew first meet? Andrew is somebody that I don't know when. At some point on the podcast, your episode will come out, and then at some point Andrew's will come out. I don't know the order yet.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew's another. Is the phrase like? Would you say like disability rights activist? Is that what you'd say? What do you say?
Yeah.
Who I had a great conversation with recently, also. But how do you guys know each other?
I think THU through FB Facebook.
Yeah. The internet brings us all together.
I was also on his podcast.
Well, excuse me. I thought I had that hot scoop. Oh, fine. Always behind. He's great. I really liked talking to him.
Yeah.
And okay, so I have like many follow-ups to what you were just talking about.
Yes.
You
don't have anything written down anymore.
So first of all, like, was there ever a moment, a period of awkwardness for you when you're talking about sex or sexuality because you need assistance, like from an aide or a parent? And for so many people, as they're like beginning to explore sexuality, that's something that like we are generally shamed for in this culture, and so people kind of keep it to themselves.
Yes.
But somebody else had to be involved.
When I was 19, I had a fucking AW awesome aide. Was that Nick? I had an awesome aide who helped me figure out most of the ST stuff I talk about in Cute Queers on Wheels. Yeah.
And was there a period of time when that was awkward, or was this person just like rad and they made you feel good?
No, yeah, just rad, total radness.
So you're good at hiring, is what you're saying.
Yes, he is still one of my best friends.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great to know. And what about for your parents? Because I can imagine that like I can imagine that one's parents, it's like you don't really want your parents to know that much about your sex life, right? Like that's a generally.
Eva's dad called their partner. What was it? Your special friend? Special friend? Was that it? Or was it my good friend?
Oh. Wow.
That's a little even weirder than special. But even though when we had dinner together at my parents' house, we then fucked. We fucked at that house. Like good friends.
That is a good friend. It's a solid friendship that you're working on there. Wait, do you use they pronouns?
No, their partner does.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and give it confusing between the singular and the
sure,
plural. Because I'm talking about both or one of them.
Right.
But yeah. But yeah, you just use she, her. Yeah.
And your folks, so do you think is that like that they don't accept that you have a sex life, or is it discomfort with queerness? Is it one of those things?
My dad does not want me to be queer.
Oh, well, unfortunately.
No, he does not want you to be dating. Oh, just not just queer, but dating. God.
Doesn't want you to be dating anybody.
Lame. Yeah.
Why?
Parents, man. Yeah, they just don't understand.
But has he ever told you why?
Yes. Because he has a idea, which is to long to talk about.
Got it.
About my life. Yeah, like how he wants your life to look and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, shit, my parents had some ideas about how my life should look.
Yeah.
I really hope that they come around and see that you get to choose your own life. I think that's
that'd be sick. Yeah.
Because that is, or I mean, does this weigh you down, or are you fine with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I hope that they come around, because I think that's, I mean, especially for queer folks, I think anybody that's listening who's in the community has had like some moment with some family member or friend that's about like, hey, I need you to be this for me. That is a shared experience.
Exactly. Please take off your button-ups and stop being trans. Like,
it just sucks for other people to put their expectations on you, and I can imagine that, like, even more so if you happen to live in their house.
Exactly.
Do you think you'd ever want to live on your own?
I have, and it was a good experience. Yes.
Well, cross fingers that. Would you want to again?
Yes.
All right. Well, you gotta get just a few more of those Hollywood gigs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, I'm just like, I want to talk to your dad. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Good luck with that.
Do you go to, where do you meet other queer folks?
Oh, online.
Yeah. I would imagine like a bar setting would be challenging.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to bars?
No.
I mean, who does? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't go to gay bars.
for real.
There are like some cool, I don't know, queer coffee shops in LA, like more alternative spaces that.
Yes. Where?
Where?
Yeah, where?
I'll tell you
she
afterwards.
Eva loves coffee.
Yeah, I'll tell you afterwards.
And queers, so it's like...
What is it called? There's a new one that just opened up in like Echo Park. I'll look up the
queer cutie thing.
Yeah, cuties.
Yeah.
Have you guys been there yet?
I haven't yet, but I can be like clicking going to every single event and don't go. So.
Yeah. I think that's got to be a destination on the list.
Yeah.
Rad. And then sort of moving towards wrapping up. I know I asked you the last question that I asked you in the ones I sent you was, is there anything that you feel passionate about adding at this point? And that's more so just like, I am 100% certain that there are things that I missed. So what did I miss?
Not really. Not really. Doesn't really have an answer.
I nailed the shit out of it.
Yes.
Wow. Good job, me. Well, Eva, first of all, it's been awesome talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you came to the studio and that we worked this out.
Yes.
And I want to ask you about a queero of yours. Somebody who gave you the strength to feel awesome in the person that you are today.
Annie DeFranco? No, that's not what you meant. Sorry. ANI animal PRU Prufok, who I idolized as a teenager, and who I have done 2 performances with, and was in his WED wedding.
Who is? I don't know that
Do you
person.
do you know the band Bitch and Animal?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Animal.
Yeah.
From Bitch and Animal.
Yes.
Well, I've only met Bitch. And that's true.
That's funny.
How did you first become aware of that person?
I listened to Bitch and Animal, and I was like, OMG.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then went to a show, and PLOW plowed to the front to meet Animal. And rest is history, yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I guess I need to look that person up because I only know them as half of that band.
Yeah.
Eva, thank you so much for coming in and being a guest on the show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Awesome. Rad. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Cameron.
Yeah, totally. This is fun. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Let's go find out who we are. Who we are.
Well, listeners, that's our show. Please remember to rate and review us on iTunes. You can follow me on Twitter at Cameron Esposito. We are recorded by Matt Brousseau, produced by Sierra Cato and Feral Audio. Our theme song is by AW, and you can find them at listentoaw.com. Thanks for listening to Queery.
Feral Audio.
Raised by TV is back on Earwolf this week for Season 3. Season 3 coming at you live and free every Wednesday. The season premiere is already out. We talk Saved by the Bell with Saved by the Bell expert and comedian April Richardson. We go through Paul F. Tompkins' IMDb. We talk to Mary Holland about Survivor. We have Grey Griffin, the voice of Nova from Heroes of the Storm, or more importantly, Azula. You know who she is, a voice legend. Anders Holm from Workaholics. We sing some 90s jams with Matt and Bowen from Las Culturistas. We've got a lot of great episodes coming out, is what I'm saying. Every Wednesday, if you're a Stitcher Premium subscriber, you start binging right now. Listen to Raised by TV now and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Gabrus out!